Australia's super fight is ready for liftoff. Hello and welcome to Main Event. We are live here at the W in Sydney at Darling Harbour. My name is Eloise Sawyer. Peter Bedell alongside me. Pete, this has been a rivalry that's dated back to pre-COVID times. There's been so much talk about this. We find ourselves finally here.
Well, it's been the biggest feud in Australian boxing, Eloise, and now we finally get to settle the score. And originally, the feud was starting with Tszyu and Michael Zerafa, of course. That was meant to happen in 2021. It didn't for various reasons. Now it's been passed on to the younger Tszyu, the butcher, Nikita. And he's going to have to get the job done. It's probably the biggest test of his career to date. Michael Zerafa goes in confident, but beautiful fight stylistically. Let's see who wins.
Would you agree that it's possibly been Australian boxing's worst kept secret about the fact that this would finally one day come to fruition?
Oh, absolutely, always. Look, it had to. The score had to be settled eventually. But it all started 4 or 5 years ago when obviously Tszyu was on the rise, his star was on the rise, and he was seen as the golden boy of Australian boxing. He disposed of Jeff Horn, and then of course Michael Zerafa, who had 2 great fights against Jeff Horn. He seemed the next target, and it was meant to happen in 2021 in Tszyu Castle. The week before the fight, Michael Zerafa pulls out. He was accused of being a coward by the Tszyu camp. Michael Zerafa insists there were just COVID reasons. He had issues with his trainers. So now we get to see whether Michael Zerafa can walk the walk, he's talked the talk, and let's see if he can get in the ring now against Nikita and put him away. There's
been a number of dates set and it's been pushed back. We finally find ourselves here today, press conference, where the date will be officially announced. It'll be locked in. Is there fear that this could then be pushed back? Is that possibly on the cards as well?
Well, we've had a few false starts, haven't we, already with this one? I mean, it was meant to be, I'm told, late November. Then there was a little bit of an injury for Michael Zerafa to his rib, I'm told, so he's had to put it back. But look, we hope he gets into the ring. He's had 39 professional fights. He's fought some better fighters than Nikita Tszyu in terms of records and resumes. So now, let's see if they can bang in the ring and who gets the victory.
Well, the wait is over. Let's make it official now with Ben Damon.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is a fight that has been years in the making, a blood feud that has captured the imagination of the Australian sporting public during a bitter war of words as 2 famous surnames and 2 polarising figures have danced around each other without a punch ever being thrown. Well, finally and delightfully, we can now confirm that Tszyu v Zerafa is on, live on Main Event television on Friday, January 16. The unique and undefeated prince of Australian boxing's first family faces the former world title challenger and self-styled bad guy of Australian boxing. It is Bad Blood, Nikita Tszyu v Michael Zerafa.
Nikita Tszyu is the wild man. Wow, here goes Tszyu. Right hand from Tszyu. There's a massive shot. Oh! Nikita, destroyer. No retreat, no surrender. Michael Zerafa. Zerafa looking very dangerous. Big shots from Michael Zerafa. Oh, big right hand. That was a bomb. Here he goes. Zerafa has more where those came from.
Friday, January 16 is the date. It's Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa. Finally, we've come here to announce this fight that we've been waiting for so very long, and it's all brought to you by No Limit Boxing Promotions. I'll start in the middle with the big boss there, George Rose. George, you must be so relieved and excited that finally we can make this official.
Look, I am. I'm absolutely excited. It's an honour to be here on behalf of No Limit Boxing to bring you the biggest domestic grudge match of the decade. Tszyu versus Zerafa. It's something that's been boiling since 2021, and it's a blessing to have such a high-class fight taking place. We haven't seen this since the likes of Tszyu Horn, Mundine v Green. It's rare in Australian sports that you get to have such high-caliber domestic matchups like this. It's like the state of origin. It's New South Wales versus Queensland. It's the Roosters versus Rabbitohs. It's Collingwood versus Carlton. It's Collingwood versus Essendon. It's like the old school V8s, Ford versus Holden. You have to choose a side in them matchups. You've got no choice. You've got to choose a side. And in this fight here, you have to pick a side. Are you Team Zerafa or are you Team Tszyu? And we're absolutely honoured to be bringing this fight. We're starting 2026 with a bang. This is the best possible domestic matchup that you can get, and it's going to be a huge one.
You've been a part of some big promotions, George. Have you ever been so pumped about a fight as this?
Look, it's been a long journey to get here. and I am pumped. Like I said, this has been something that's been boiling since 2021. We've been hanging to put this fight on. Tszyu and Zerafa are the two biggest names in Australian boxing. They're two of the best fighters in Australian boxing, and it's one that we've been hanging to get out here. I nearly swore then. I'm that stoked to be able to put this fight in front of everyone and to be able to confirm that it's officially taking place on January 16th.
We've had some false starts along the way. We're meant to have, of course, Michael Zerafa and Tszyu way back in 2021. We know what happened there. Then this fight, well, it was meant to be announced recently. There were injuries and car accidents, and it just looked like everything was conspiring against it. Did you start to doubt this fight would ever happen?
Look, no, I didn't doubt it. I knew that it was going to happen. I put the energy out there. I knew this fight was going to happen. I know that when you've got two fighters of this calibre, with the bad blood that exists, you've got the bad boy of Australian boxing, a guy who's fought all across the world. He's fought five former world champions. You look at the numbers alone, he's stepping into his 40th fight. He's had 22 knockouts in his career. That's double the amount of times that Nikita's even stepped into the ring. He's got a lot of experience in his favour, Michael Zerafa. Nikita Tszyu, on the other hand, he's the most exciting guy in Australian boxing. He's the most unpredictable guy as well. He's probably the most unpredictable human in Australia, to be fair. But when you're watching Nikita Tszyu, he's an absolute entertainment machine. He's fought 11 fights, knocked out 9 guys. 7 of those guys, he's stolen their zero from. He's fought 7 undefeated guys and stolen their zero. Now, you look at anybody else's resume, their first 10 fights, none of them look like Nikita Tszyu's. This is the best possible matchup that you're going to get in Australian boxing. Both of these guys are stars that are world title calibre. And what happens off the back end of this fight, it could open anything. I haven't felt this excitement and this sort of buzz for a fight since fights like Tszyu Horn.
The bookmakers will make up their own minds here, but for you, George, considering that Michael Zerafa is having his 40th professional fight, we know what he's done as a professional. Nikita Tszyu, though, on the rise after 11 undefeated fights. He's world ranked as well. Who's the favourite going into this fight?
Well, look, I'm not a punter, but this could be the first time that Nikita steps into the ring as an underdog. This could be the first time that he steps into the ring as an underdog. When you're fighting a guy who only a few fights ago fought for a world title, he's been the #1 in the WBA for a good number of years. He's been Australia's best middleweight for the last 6 years. He's sat at #1 for all this time. He's a guy with experience who wants to go on to another world title opportunity. Nikita Tszyu is a rising star. He might be our pay-per-view star of Australia, but he also wants to be a star on global boxing, and he's headed that way. The way that he fights, people love him. People are excited by him, but when you step into the ring and you've got a guy with Michael Zerafa's credentials, there's a good chance you step in as the underdog, and it gives you a chance to prove yourself. And we've seen that in the past. We've had great underdog fighters come in and prove themselves in the past. This one's going to be another opportunity for that to happen.
George, we do know the date, Friday the 16th of January. What about the venue? Can you give us any information on that here today?
Yeah, look, we are very close to getting there. A fight of this calibre is a type of fight that you could fight it anywhere in the country, and people are going to come, people are going to watch, people are going to tune in. This is the best matchup that we can get in Australian boxing. We will have a venue locked away very soon. As soon as we do get that done, we'll be announcing it straight away. We want everyone to come along. We want everybody to be a part of it, because this is going to be the biggest fight of the year.
And another all-important factor, the weight at which this fight will be fought. We know that Michael Zerafa is campaigning as a middleweight. Nikita Tszyu is a super welterweight. Have you reached an agreement with regards to the weight?
Yeah, well, look, both of these guys, as I said, they're stars in their own right. They've both earned their right to be able to fight at their weight. So we were able to meet in the middle. Michael Zerafa, obviously a great middleweight. Nikita Tszyu, a great super welterweight. We've met in the middle at 157. So these guys will be fighting at 157. They both agreed to that. They both agreed to meet halfway. And I think that's the fairest way to do it, and gives them both the best opportunity to deliver their best performance.
Okay, so that is the news. 157 pounds. This fight will be contested at around 71.2 kilograms, right in between the two weight divisions of these fighters. George, what about an undercard? A fight like this deserves a stacked undercard. Can you give us any hints as to what we might see on the 16th of January before this fight?
Look, the one thing that you know that we deliver when we put on a show, it's a show from the bottom to the top. When you've got a fight like this sitting at the top, there'll be a great undercard underneath. but you don't need a great undercard when you've got a fight like this. We could put any man and their dog on this undercard and people will still want to see it, because this is the best fight you are going to see in Australian boxing. This is the biggest domestic matchup that can be made. This is two of the best fighters in the country, and they're putting it all on the line. They're putting their balls on the table right here for everyone, January 16th.
And we know we can see this fight, of course, on Main Event Television, which you can access via Foxtel and KO. What about tickets? I know we're waiting on a venue announcement, but I'm sure there'll be people who are willing to fly wherever this fight ends up. How can they get involved?
Look, it will be in a major city, as I said, so tickets will be available as soon as we announce a venue. And to be able to get your chance to get your first shot at it, make sure you go to nolimitboxing.com.au, register to be advised as soon as it is announced that you can get access to tickets, because you want first access to this. You want the best seats in the house to be able to watch these two go at it. Make sure you register through nolimitboxing.com.au, and as soon as we lock in a venue, we'll be having another announcement. We'll unleash the full card for you there too.
Thanks so much to George Rose. I might talk to you a little bit later on, but now time to talk to the fighters, and firstly to this side of the table, a 33-year-old from Melbourne. He's 34-5 as a professional. He's ranked as high as number 5 in the world at middleweight right now, a former world title challenger, Michael Zerafa. Welcome, Michael. Great to see you again. How do you feel about the fact that it's now official? You are fighting against Tszyu and it's Nikita.
Yeah, look, I'm excited. You know, like George said, it's the biggest fight in Australia that can be made. You know, to share the ring with Tszyu is going to be great. So, yeah, in 12 weeks, we'll go out there and put all the bad blood to rest.
There's been a fair bit go on in recent times. Did you ever start to doubt that this fight would happen? Did you ever decide at any point that you just didn't want to wait around any longer, or you didn't want this fight?
No, not at all. Like, people need to understand, you know, we're elite athletes. You know, things happen, people get injured. You know, it's not like we go into a local gym and, you know, we've rolled a wrist or an ankle and, you know, the fight can't happen. You know, we're training 5-6 hours a day, you know, 6-7 days a week. Injuries do happen, you know, car accidents. You know, he was probably driving to the gym or to Coles or something, and a car accident, you know, no one wants that. No one wants to get injured. So, you know, that's life. People need to understand that, you know, things do actually happen, you know what I mean? But we're here now, you know, and like I said, exciting times ahead.
And what do you think happens in this fight? Because you've had so long to think about it. I'm sure that you've pictured how it finishes. You have made comments about being levels ahead of your opponent in this fight, Nikita Tszyu. What does that lead you to believe happens?
Look, you know, I never like to say too much about how the fight goes. Look, I do believe I win. I do believe that I am the more experienced fighter. I've been in there with bigger names and beaten bigger names. But look, there's no pressure on me. I mean, I'm expected to lose. That's why it says Tszyu Zerafa. I know that. You know, there's no pressure on me. I lose, I go back to my business, and it's I told you so. Zerafa wasn't good enough. But the Tszyu legacy is on the line. You know, for me, there is nothing. I rock up, I give them all. If it's enough, I'll win. If it's not enough, I'll go back to doing me. But like I said, the Tszyu legacy.
It's not a very confident kind of output.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, 12 weeks, we'll see. But like I said, the legacy name. You know, Tim fell short. You know, there's only one more to save him. You know, not many people get 2 chances at saving the last name. You know, so this is your chance, brother.
Well, I was going to introduce him in a moment, but he needs to respond to those comments. This is the undefeated Nikita Tszyu, who's 11 fights and 11 wins, 9 KOs and 0 losses so far. He's ranked highly as well, as high as number 9 in the world at super welterweight. Well, Nikita, he's just said that you have the final chance to save the Tszyu legacy.
What's the question? What?
What's your response to that? Do you feel you go into this fight trying to save your family name in boxing?
Not really. No. I'm going in here to really rise to the occasion, to get onto that world stage properly, to beat someone who's had a lot of experience. To really, make a name for my own self.
When you look through what Zerafa has done in the ring as a professional, are you impressed?
Look, he's had 39 fights. He's very experienced, but I'm very inexperienced compared to him. But there's a level of quality as well. Not trying to act arrogant or anything, but I've had a pretty hard introduction into the sport, kind of thrown into the deep end. Michael in the same position, 10 fights. I saw on his box rack he had a fighter with just a pro debut. So,
Michael, what do you feel about that?
He's experienced, Michael, but I'm here to take away the experience.
I think he's querying your record to some extent, particularly with regards to the early stages of it.
I mean, you know, when I was fighting in the pros, you know, he was contemplating if he was, you know, going to continue with boxing or not. You know, he was still in the amateurs, you know. So I've been in the sport for many years now, and like I said, I've fought the best. I've been beaten the best in the country. I've been at the top for many years now, and like I said, there's not really much more to say. I mean, the date's there. I mean, I'm not going to be the old Michael Zerafa and put out. This is a big fight, you know, and I'm not overlooking anybody. I know he's a big puncher, but again, I do believe that there's levels in the sport. There's a level below me and there's a level above me, and I don't think January 16th he's going to be at my level.
Do you think they've underestimated what you have achieved previously, Michael?
100%. Everyone does. I mean, everyone does. They all give me respect once I beat them. Your Hardmans, everybody. You know, they've all got something to say. And not disrespect anybody, but you know, they all say they're going to knock me out. Like I said, you know, 35 of them all thought the same. 35 fell short.
Nikita, are there any particular fights of Michael's in recent times that you've seen and you've thought, yes, I can beat him?
Well, in the moment, I didn't really fully see the fight because I was in the toilet. But the fight against Lara is a kind of a nice blueprint. Southpaw, I'm nowhere near the level of Lara, not at all. But he's showed the vulnerabilities in Zerafa's chin, in his style against Southpaws, and that's what I'm trying to capitalize on.
Michael, he's questioned your chin. I know you've questioned his at times. What would you like to say?
I mean, I definitely question his chin. I mean, he's been rocked out of his 11 wins. He's been rocked, I think, 10 of his fights, and nearly been stopped a few times by guys that aren't even the best light middleweights in their gym. But again, no disrespect to Nikita. It's actually credit to Nikita. You know, for someone that's having 11 fights to step up fighting me, I wouldn't want to fight me. I'm a bad man. You know, like, for credit to him and his team for stepping up, wanting to fight me, and may the best man win.
I gotta ask, what's with all this credit and stuff you're giving?
No, mate, when credit, look, I've got no bad blood with you. My rivalry was with your brother. Mm-hmm. There's no bad blood with you, and it's not even bad blood. It's just that competitiveness. Me and Tim were both number one. We're both in the.
No, but you've always been like this bad guy, and you've always owned the bad guy.
Well, because sometimes
what's the change?
Sometimes promoters need a bad guy, you know, and no offense to you, but you're not the best talker.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? And neither is your brother. So they kind of need me a little bit, you know? So that's why I play the bad guy and the villain and stuff like that. Mate, if I walk past, I've got no bad blood.
So what's the change now? Why?
There is no change. I did it in my last fight. I was giving my guy credit. Before that, I was giving him credit. Lara, I gave him credit. The guy before that, I gave him credit. I wasn't a bad guy. When I need to be the bad guy, I can be the bad guy. But there's no need to be a bad guy with you. The date's there. There's no need. I generally say it, and you've heard when they ask me about your character, I wish you nothing but the best. Oh, I wish you a speedy recovery. I said, mate, things happen. I actually had your defense. I got nothing bad to say about you.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems a little deceiving because all the stories I hear about you, the way you communicate with people in the management, the people in the media, you bring off a very different kind of energy when you're being respectful.
I'm just being me. Like I said, you can take it, you can leave it. I mean, I can be a bad guy to you if you like, but I'm just being me. I don't need to hate you. Like I said, the date's there. We're going to settle it out. May the best man win. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope everything goes well. Hopefully no one hits you again in a car. May the best man win, like I said.
And hopefully no one hits you again in the rib as well.
It actually wasn't a punch, to be honest.
What happened?
You actually want to know? It was actually it was a bit of a weird situation, but I was actually doing sit-ups and they threw a medicine ball, and it just actually cracked the rib. And that's all right, man. You can go for that rib. The rib will be ready for you come Jan 16.
Which side?
It was the left side, actually.
Left side. Okay, copy that.
Yeah, it will even suit you even more.
To be fair, Michael, you have said a few things along the way. This is a quote from you. You said that Nikita needs his chin checked and his head scanned, and you insinuated that he's an embarrassment to the Tszyu family.
Look, some of the things he says, I mean, I question, and I think sometimes he says it and questions it sometimes. I don't know. I mean, some of the things he says, I believe, I mean, people can go against this, shouldn't be said in public. Whether, you know, I wouldn't like to know what he does on a Sunday recovery day outside of a boxing gym. But, I mean, his chin, that's just because of what I've seen in his fights. Again, nothing to him. If I didn't, you know, just from what I've seen, like he said, he saw faults when I fought Lara. You know, I'm just saying from what I'm watching when he fights, and usually we're fighting on the same night, so it's hard. But from what I do see, I think his chin is questionable.
Nikita, anything along the way that he has said that has particularly upset you or offended you? Is there anything that he shouldn't have said?
I think it all started from the initial comments he made about my family, the disrespectful comments he made in the past, back when he was being the bad guy. The stuff he said about my dad,
Said he was a legend.
well, the Mickey Haddon part, that was
Wow.
not.
Did you actually watch that full? Did you watch the full interview?
Doesn't matter. Like, I saw that part, and you're gonna bring out the Mickey Haddon. It was disrespectful. Yeah. These kind of things I can't really forgive. It's just who I am. I'm a very family-oriented person, and I guess that was the beginning of it all. That's where it all kind of started, because at that point you were meant to be fighting my brother, but those comments, they stuck with me, and now 5 years on, we're in this together.
And what does that motivate you towards, Nikita, the fact that you do feel so disrespected and your family feels disrespected? What do you want to do in this fight as a result of that disrespect?
I mean, it's more just closing that mouth of his, because I've heard non-stop blabbering from him for like the last 5 years. I've heard from my manager, Glenn, that the pain in the ass that he was after that fight, all the different stories he was bringing as excuses for why that fight didn't happen. He has a way of getting into the media and giving them things to run with. But yeah, this fight is a way to finally close that door.
What's your take on why that fight didn't happen between Michael and your brother in 2021?
I could say that he was scared. I could say that his team didn't want the fight. What were the other things that you said? Wasn't there like a whole list of them?
I didn't say anything. It was managerial issues, and No Limit obviously knows what went on behind the scenes. And if I, really didn't want that fight, and it was the case that I ran away and I was scared and I was banned from Fox Sports and No Limit, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Wasn't there like troubles of getting from Melbourne to Newcastle?
Negative. That was not the case at all. Not the case at all.
Copy.
Not the case at all. I ended up having to go through a whole legal situation with my ex-team and whatnot, and yeah, there was bigger things than me not wanting to fight. Definitely wasn't the case. I've fought bigger names than Tim at the time. I've fought all of them in their backyard. I fought Cal Brook in England. I went to Russia, fought the champion there. Went to Vegas and fought Lara there. I've been all around the world in their backyard. Going to an hour flight was definitely not the case.
Any concerns then, Nikita, that this fight doesn't happen for any reason, that Michael Zerafa runs into some other issue? From your side, though, are there any concerns?
I'll tell you what, this is how much I want this fight. I've cancelled my wedding that I was meant to have for this fight. This fight's happening.
How does she feel about that?
I was told to make sure to lock the doors so he doesn't run away.
You won't. You won't need to.
Do you have any legitimate concerns, though, Nikita, about that?
No, I think he's going to come to the fight. I think he really wants this fight as well. This is big for both of us.
And when you've pictured it, because you've said some things about what you want to do in this fight and how you want to see him react to what is going on, how have you pictured it? What is the ideal scenario for you as you're winning this fight?
I mean, I'd like this to go for as long as possible. I want to be in there for as long as possible, and just we're boxers. This the whole reason why we're in this sport, to fight someone and to be able to just put pain on another human. And right now I'm not in that mode. Still kind of a resident of Sydney, just walking around. But once January 16th comes in, my mind will switch, and I can't have any more like remorse. I have to be that killer that wants to hurt someone. And it's the greatest way I could possibly do it, being locked in a ring with someone. So if I have as much time in there with him as possible, beautiful.
Michael, that's some of the darker talk that you've spoken about from Nikita previously. How do you feel when it's directed at you like it was then and like it has been in recent times?
I don't know, man. I'll say it. The sport needs him. He's strange. I mean, it's weird, but I mean, if it works for him, let him go doing his jungle boy stuff where he goes in his forest.
Well, why are you in this sport? Like, what's your motivating
Man, when you were
factor?
drinking fucking warm titty milk, I was climbing the ranks. You were contemplating, do I want to box? Do I not want to box?
I was drinking warm titty milk.
That's what you do. You're on this.
I was drinking that like a month ago.
I'm still drinking. Still on it.
Yeah, it's still on it. It's actually delicious.
Still on it. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Climbing the ranks.
Look, it is what it is. I think the sport needs him. I think he does great things, to be honest. He's actually funny. He's got more of a personality than Tim.
Well, we'll finish it there. Michael, your final words to the people of Australia who are watching this, who've been waiting for this fight for so very long and now know that it's going to go down on the 16th of January. Just anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and make sure it's a fight not to be missed. I mean, like I said, I think they've made a big mistake. Big mistake.
Any final words for Nikita in particular then before we let you both go?
January 16th is where it all comes to an end. The conclusion.
All right, thank you guys. We'll face off these two fighters for the first time here on the stage with the promoter George Rose in between them. So those are your details. Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa will fight. It's Friday, January the 16th. It's live on Main Event Television. All the rest of the details are to follow. January 16, it is Tszyu v Zerafa. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Ben Damon and I'll see you at the fights.
Well, the date is set 16th of January 2026. Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa will finally enter the ring. Pete Bedell, firstly, I just want to get your reaction initially to that press conference, finally seeing those two up on stage and knowing that this fight is up in lights.
Look, it was pretty edgy, and that's what we want to see. I mean, I've been in these rooms before, Eloise, when I've seen Nikita Tszyu with, say, Jack Brubaker, for example, and I've seen him with Danilo Criati, and there hasn't been that genuine tension. I see an undercurrent of hatred there, and I know there are a few platitudes from Michael, but I don't believe he genuinely believes it. He's the bad boy of Australian boxing. He should play into it, and I think he's good enough to beat Nikita. I think his best is better than Nikita's best right now, but has Nikita got another level? That's what we'll find out on January 16.
Michael Zerafa said this is a big mistake. He's confident going in this, and it feels like his experience is what he's leaning on.
Absolutely. Look, 39 career fights, Eloise, and not many Australian boxers have had that level of experience. He's had more fights than Jai Bataille, Tszyu, Sam Goodman, all the greats of Australian boxing right now. The thing for me is that Michael Zerafa's never shied away from a big fight overseas. So I think it's ridiculous to suggest that he's a coward. He's taken the biggest fights on the biggest stages. As we welcome in Nikita Tszyu, who was prepared to take the fight to Michael Zerafa, and rightly so. Nikita, you've been in, I guess you had the car crash recently. Can you first update us on that and how you're feeling?
I was fine. I was quite lucky that I was actually in a four-wheel drive though, or else I probably would have been, my boxing career probably would have been over.
So was it that serious? Was it, Nikita? Like what exactly happened?
Well, I got T-boned just driving on the highway, and the stereotypes of Asian drivers is real.
Nikita, up there on stage, George Rose talked about the fact that you're the underdog coming into this up against someone like Michael Zerafa. How does that sit with you, and how did you feel Michael Zerafa was today up there on stage with you after now the fight has been confirmed and locked in?
I mean, I always put myself in the underdog position anyway. I always think that I am lesser than the other opponent, and that kind of brings the drive for the fight. It keeps me motivated and keeps me in check to be very deliberate with everything that I do.
Do you think, Nikita, interesting comment you made about the way Michael acts, it seems like sometimes he changes personalities. Do you think he's fake?
There's a level of it to it. He's always putting on a different kind of act. I find he's bringing off different kind of energies. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad, sometimes he's respectful. It's fake. That's all I see.
He said that you're good for the sport, good for Australian boxing. What do you feel Michael Zerafa brings to the sport? Because he felt like he couldn't really answer that when you did put it to him. What do you feel he brings?
I think he's also good for the sport. When he acts like himself, the bad guy, because I feel like that is his true side. That's the side that he doesn't really have to put on any kind of makeup, and that's the good side, because he brings interest, he brings talking points. He's a bit of a mosquito, but we need sometimes mosquitoes, because mosquitoes feed frogs and it's part of the ecosystem.
What do these next... You said up there that you're not quite zoned in, but come January 16, of course, it's time to really turn it on. Once you get in the ring there, it's do or die, essentially. What does this next couple of weeks and months look like for you?
Honestly, there's going to be a lot of love in my house. There's going to be a lot of love with my daughter, my wife, my dogs, possibly getting another fourth dog if we can find the specific one. But until that fight gets closer, that 1 week beforehand when my family gets taken away from me and my wife goes and stays with her father, that's when my brain really switches. And yeah.
What about Nikita? I mean, you deserve credit. I mean, you've taken some big fights in an embryonic stage of your career. Like, not many fighters have had 11 fights, had the caliber of opponents you've had, but this is probably your toughest opponent. Why do you think you beat him?
Just belief. You got to risk it to get the biscuit, and he's a big biscuit, and it's the way I got to grow in the sport. You got to take on huge challenges to be able to progress it, and what greater way than beating a man that was so disrespectful to my family.
Nikita Tszyu, good luck come January 16, 2026. Thank you so much for your time. We will see you then with a destination and a location still yet to be announced, but a man that could perhaps firm that up for us is George Rose. But George, firstly, there was a little bit of flare up there. There was a little bit of more banter than we've seen, obviously, of recent time. And it feels like Nikita Tszyu has really taken an offence to the way in which Michael Zerafa has offended his family and what he said over the past.
Yeah, look, there was a moment up there where Nikita spoke, and I don't know how everybody else in the room felt, but when he talked about being locked in the ring with Zerafa and getting a chance to do what he wanted to do, I shat myself. I don't know how Michael felt. I don't know how anyone else in the crowd felt, but I could feel that tension and see it in his eyes that he's going to get in there and he really wants to make a statement against Zerafa. Zerafa's a guy with he's one of our best in the country, without a doubt. And this is getting even better than I thought it was going to be.
Well, let's face it, George. Mick is the villain. I mean, I know he likes to almost put on a different front according to Nikita, but take us back to when he was meant to fight Tszyu. He caused you guys a lot of heartache, didn't he? There was a lot of political drama that can't be forgotten in all this.
Yeah, look, there was millions and millions of reasons to not forgive him for that. Like there was a period there where he was sworn off absolutely anything. He wasn't going to be allowed back into doing anything. And the fact that we've come full circle and landed here, a lot's gone on to be able to turn that around. But for a long time, he was the villain. He is the villain. He's a bad boy of Australian boxing. And the thing is that you might meet him on a day when he's a nice guy, but he's still got it in him to flick the switch. He's got the gift of gab, and he says things that rub people the wrong way. He's a very polarising figure in Australian boxing, and that's why this fight in particular is one that you're going to pick a side of who you like. You'll either love Michael Zerafa or you'll hate him. You'll love Nikita Tszyu or you'll hate him. They're two very polarising figures with the things they say and do, and that's what makes this fight so entertaining and so exciting. Not only are they the two best boxers in the country, they're the two most polarising. Does
Nikita Tszyu bring out the villain in Michael Zerafa?
I think he did then. I think there was moments then where you see it where, Michael step in as the nice guy with, nice intentions, but you say something that rubs him the wrong way and he'll let you know what he really thinks. And what he really thinks is things that rub people the wrong way. And that's what you either love or hate about him, is that he will say things that will pee a lot of people off. And love him or hate him, he's going to step in the ring still at the end of the day. And January 16th, this is going to be a hell of a fight.
George, for me, this is the biggest fight, or one of the biggest fights in 20 years for Australian boxing. I remember watching Mundine and Green in 06, and I was shaking as Mundine was walking to the ring. I think this fight has a similar feel for people back home.
It's huge.
They will be shaking. I mean, how do you feel? This is massive for the No Limit platform.
These fights, you remember where you were. You remember what you were doing for that. You brought up the Mundine Green fight. I remember going down, jumping the fence and sneaking into the table section so that we could get a close view for that. I remember where I was for Tszyu Horn. I remember all of the big fights. You remember them moments where you were. This is a fight where you will remember the moment where you watched Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa. You remember what you were doing. You remember what happened. You remember the moment. You remember how you felt. This is a big fight. This is one of the biggest fights that we can put together, and it'll be the biggest fight of next year. It's the biggest fight that we've seen in a decade.
George Rose, highly anticipated bout, January 16, 2026. We can't wait. There's so much to build up between now and then. Thank you so much for your time here this morning.
Cheers.
Pete Bedell, we're going to bring in Michael Zerafa. He's the
bad boy. Now we want the villain. Where is he?
Michael
Where is he?
Zerafa,
The villain.
welcome.
How are we?
Is the villain returning for the fight against Nikita Tszyu? Is that what it brings out in you, Michael?
No, not really. I think when I'm cool, calm, collected, that's where I perform. I mean, there's no pressure on me. It's all on him. Like I said up there, if I lose, it's I told you so. He's the favourite. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what the bookies say. I don't care what anyone says. If I was the favourite, then it wouldn't say Tszyu v Zerafa.
Do you feel too, Mick? I mean, do you feel like you're the black sheep of this No Limit stable? I mean, he's the golden boy, Nikita. They surely want him to win on January 16.
100%. I mean, I've never really felt, as much as I'm a No Limit fighter and one of their main dudes, I've never really felt like home. But it's a business. I'm not here to make friends. I've got friends.
Questioning, obviously, back to 2021 when you pulled out of that fight against Tszyu.
I didn't pull out of the fight.
So that's obviously been something that he's tried to use against you and said that there's fears that he could potentially pull out of this one.
Yeah, look, I definitely didn't pull out of that, and this is what the media got to get through their heads. So I definitely didn't pull out of that fight. I fought bigger names in worse conditions for less money. There was reasons that fight didn't happen, and now there's reasons this fight's happened. Everything happens for a reason, and we're here now, and it is what it is.
So, Mick, settle once and for all, why did you pull out of that fight? Were you scared like they alleged?
Definitely not. Like I said, I'm a fighter. This is how, if I don't fight, I don't eat. It's not like I've got, a carpentry job to go back to or something. There was a whole lot of things with, ex-management and team and, contractually they were trying to do things behind my back with No Limit, and there was a lot of things. But, like I said, we're here now.
On the fight itself, Michael, Nikita said he would love it to go the rounds, to go the length. How do you see this one? What would be your ideal?
I think this is going to go early. I think this fight's not going the distance. Someone's getting knocked out.
And no doubt it's going to be you that does the knocking out, Mick, but why do you beat him?
Look, I respect him. I'm starting to like the kid. But in saying that, everyone talks about his power. Yeah, all right, he can punch. That's all he's got. With me, you got to worry about my countering, my speed, my footwork, my power. There's multiple things you got to worry about with me. And the right Michael Zerafa rocks up. And he knows. I know he knows deep down. If the right Michael Zerafa rocks up, this fight's not going the distance.
One final word, Michael Zerafa, before we say goodbye.
All the best. May the best man win.
Michael Zerafa, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you on January 16, 2026.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, Pete Bedell, Michael Zerafa is full of confidence. He knows that he's got so much experience over Nikita Tszyu, and he's not going to back out of this one. And it's finally the time for him to put aside what also has been accused of him. He said the media needs to get it right as to why he backed out of the Tszyu fight. He wasn't scared, as has been alleged.
Well, he just intimated then, Eloise, that there were obviously some political dramas with his ex-team. He suggested he was backstabbed, that there were deals going on behind his back. But ultimately, the perception is that he was running scared from Tszyu. Now, Tszyu's not here. Nikita Tszyu, his brother, is in the ring on January 16. And I believe that this is the moment of truth for Nikita Tszyu. I mean, he's been undefeated to this point. He's had some dangerous customers, but no one like Michael Zerafa. 34-5, Mick Zerafa, and some great wins on his resume. And he's been Australia's best middleweight for 6 years. And if you look at his professional fights, he's had more than most Australian boxers. So I think if Nikita is slightly off, Michael Zerafa can stop him. It's a massive fight.
Nikita Tszyu says it goes all the way. Michael Zerafa says it stops short. Where do you feel like that is really going to be? We're going to be in the middle ground. This really is, and you said that the green, the mundane 20 years ago, this really is, like George Rose said, you remember where you were when Nikita Tszyu and Michael Zerafa finally faced off. It's this family rivalry that we've built up in Australian boxing that is a super fight for the decades.
100%. Look, it's one of the top 5 fights in Australian boxing history for me, Eloise, and certainly the biggest in 5 years since Tszyu Horn. I think it won't end early. I think it'll go to the later rounds, but I don't think it'll go the distance. I think there'll be a stoppage around the 7th, 8th, 9th rounds, and that's where, to me, it'll be the battle of the mind, Eloise. I think Mick Zerafa's got the skill, but his mental toughness has always been questioned. I think Nikita Tszyu is possibly mentally tougher than Mick Zerafa. Mick Zerafa's got the power, and when he smells blood, he finishes, and that's going to be the trick for Nikita Tszyu. Ward off the guy who can finish, because if Mick Zerafa smells blood, he will finish him.
Well, you remember where you were on January 16, 2026. It is the biggest fight in Australian boxing that we have seen in decades. It is a family feud that we finally put to bed. Join us on Main Event January 16. It's Nikita Tszyu versus Michael Zerafa.
Nikita Tszyu is the wild man. Wow. Here goes Tszyu. Right hand from Tszyu. There's a massive shot. Oh! Nikita, destroyer. No retreat, no surrender. Michael Zerafa. Zerafa looking very dangerous. Big shots from Michael Zerafa. Oh, big right hand. That was a bomb.